Hello, my name is Leah Sugarman. Welcome to your Goddess Yoga Flow. For this practice, no props are absolutely essential, but if you have props that you like to use in your practice, go ahead and grab them now. And then start in a tabletop position. And untuck your toes. Release your seat back onto your heels to surrender into child's pose. Melt the weight of your upper body forward and down. Rest your head toward the floor. And you can choose if you'd like your knees to be together or apart. You can have your arms forward or back. Just take a moment to either soften your gaze or close your eyes. And tap into the movement of your breath. Connect to the goddess energy within you. And feel how it flows through you seamlessly through the movement of your breath. Feel the flow of life running through you with every inhale. And the soft feminine release that empowers you with every exhale. Keep your connection to this goddess energy and the movement of your breath. And stretch your arms forward in front of you if they're not there already. And then ground down into your palms to slowly rise up into a tabletop position. So stack your shoulders roughly over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Elongate your back body. Lengthen the crown of your head forward. Reach your tailbone toward the back of your mat. Now on an inhale, reach a bent right knee open toward the right side of your mat, kind of like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. And then begin to make circles with your knee as wide as you can. You can move in any direction. Try to find the full rotation of your hip joint. And on your next breath, reverse directions with your circles. And then slowly release your knee back down to the floor. Reestablish the length in your spine. And reach a bent left knee open toward the left side of your mat. And again, begin to make circles with your knee. As wide as you can, move in any direction. To find the movement, the mobility within your hip. On your next breath, reverse directions. Inhale here. And then exhale, soften your knee back down to the floor. Restore a neutral tabletop. And then inhale, relax the weight of your belly toward the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and expand your heart forward between your hands as you lift your gaze toward the sky. Exhale, ground down against your palms. Curl your navel in and up and round your whole back body as you look toward your belly button. Inhale, soften your belly toward the floor. Expand and open your chest. Exhale, round and curl in on yourself. Now you're welcome to continue moving forward and back like this. Or if you'd like to, you can start to make some cylindrical movements. Melt your chest toward the floor and then round your back body as you lean your weight to the right and then toward the left. You can bend your elbows and make this movement as fluid as you like. Create a cylindrical pattern with your whole torso. And let your breath guide the movement. If you're taking those cylindrical shapes, switch directions, spin the opposite way. And wherever you are, let your breath move your body. Take one more deep breath. And then slowly come back to your neutral tabletop position. Walk your hands forward about 1 palm's distance. Tuck your toes underneath and lift your knees from the floor. Send your sit bones to the sky into downward facing dog. Root down into your hands. Stretch your sitting bones even higher as you tip your pelvis forward in space. Option to bend your knees here. On your next inhale, roll your weight forward into a high plank position. Align your shoulders over your wrists. As you exhale, bend your knees, let them hover above the floor. Tip your pelvis forward and then send your sitting bones straight up toward the sky. Back to downward dog. Again, like a wave, inhale, roll your weight forward to align your shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, bend your knees, let them hover above the floor. Tip your pelvis forward and send your sitting bones high. Inhale, roll your weight forward into plank. And this time, soften your knees to the floor and slowly release the weight of your upper body down to the mat. Untuck your toes and press the tops of your feet firmly into the floor. And then lift your hands and create these little tented fingers. Rise up to your fingertips just outside of your mat. And then draw your elbows above your wrists. Energetically squeeze your fingers toward the center of your palms. Root down firmly into both feet and press your pubic bone into the floor. On an inhale, roll your shoulders down your back and press down against the mat to lift your chest and rise up into this cobra variation. Elongate your spine. Exhale, slowly dip your right shoulder into the midline of your mat. Inhale, root down against your hands, slowly lift back up. Exhale, dip your left shoulder into the midline of your mat. Inhale, slowly rise back up. And exhale, release back down to the floor. Plant your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes underneath. And reach up and back into downward facing dog. You're welcome to move through tabletop or plank to get there. On an inhale, sweep your right leg straight up toward the sky. Bend deeply into your knee and open your hip. Send your right knee up toward the ceiling. Equalize your weight in both hands. Strive to square your shoulders straight forward toward the floor. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, square your hips to the floor and step your foot forward and through. Place it on the outside of your right hand. Elongate your back body. Stretch the crown of your head forward and sink the weight of your hips toward the mat. Roll to the pinky side of your right foot and the pinky side of your left foot. Sink the weight of your hips down and spin your chest toward the right. Option to stay as you are, or option to reach your right arm back behind you and lengthen your fingertips toward the back of your mat. Feel the movement of breath flowing through you. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, unwind your twist. Release your right hand down to the floor if you lifted it. Roll back onto your right foot and your left toes. And then keep walking your hands over toward the left side of your mat. This time, spin on your toes so that both of your toes point toward the long edge of your mat. And fold the weight of your torso forward and down between your legs. You're welcome to bend your knees as much as you'd like to here. Allow the weight of your upper body to hang heavy. Inhale, plant your right fingertips or your right palm in between your feet and draw your left hand to your hip. Elongate and lengthen the crown of your head forward in space. And then from this length, spiral and spin your whole torso toward the left. Option to reach your left arm to the sky. Inhale deeply. Exhale, slowly unwind your twist and switch sides. Release your left fingertips or your left palm in between your feet. Draw your right hand to your hip. Elongate and lengthen the crown of your head forward, and then from that length, spiral and rotate your whole torso toward the right. Option to reach your right arm high. Inhale deeply. Exhale, unwind your twist. Relax the weight of your upper body again forward and down toward the floor. And then bend your knees deeply if they aren't already. Heel ball till your feet in slightly so that your heels turn in and your toes turn out. And then bend your knees deeply and lift the weight of your torso. Rise up into goddess pose. Rest your hands onto your thighs and relax the weight of your hips toward the floor, but grow tall through your back body. Stretch the crown of your head to the sky. Inhale deeply here. And as you exhale, dip your right shoulder in toward the midline of your mat. Sink your weight low as you spin your chest toward the left. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, dip your left shoulder in toward the midline of your mat. Spin your torso toward the right. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, fold the weight of your torso forward and down. Again, stretch and straighten your legs. Pivot on your feet to point your toes toward the long edge of your mat. And then walk your hands forward toward the top of your mat. Spin on your feet so that you can plant your palms and step up and back into downward facing dog. Elongate your back body and elongate your breath. On your next inhale, sweep your left leg to the sky, and then bend deeply into your knee and open your hip. Send your left knee straight up toward the ceiling. Equalize your weight in both hands. Spin your shoulders to face down toward the mat. Inhale here. And as you exhale, square your hips to the floor and step your foot forward and through. Place it next to you, the pinky side of your left foot. Elongate the crown of your head forward, sink the weight of your hips low, and then roll to the pinky side of your left foot as well as the pinky side of your right foot and dip your hips toward the mat. Turn your torso toward the left, an option to stay here or option to reach and extend your left arm back behind you. Tune in with your breath. Notice its rhythm. Feel it sending fresh energy, fresh life force energy through your body. Your connection to the divine feminine, the goddess within. Slowly unwind your twist. Pivot on your feet. And this time walk your hands over toward the right side of your mat. Keep spinning on your feet until they turn to face the long edge of your mat. And fold the weight of your torso forward and down. Option to let your arms just dangle to the floor or reach them up and back behind you, and maybe interlace your fingers behind your back as you stretch your weight up and over your head. Fold your upper body forward and down. Option to bend your knees. Inhale deeply. If your arms are behind you, exhale, slowly release them back down toward the mat. And then bend your knees deeply if they aren't already. Heel ball toe your feet in just slightly. And then turn your heels in and your toes out. Press down against the floor to rise up through your torso into goddess pose. Bring your hands into a cactus shape. So align your elbows with your shoulders. Point your fingers up toward the sky. And sink the weight of your hips low. Grow tall through your back body. Inhale here. And exhale, lift your right heel up off the floor. Inhale deeply. Exhale, slowly release your right heel down. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, lift your left heel up off the floor. Inhale deeply. Exhale, soften your left heel back down to the mat. Inhale here, option to stay as you are, or exhale, lift both heels simultaneously. Inhale here. Exhale, soften your heels to the floor And fold the weight of your torso forward and down. Stretch and straighten your legs as much as you comfortably can. And pivot on your feet. Turn them to face toward the long edge of your mat. Let your upper body hang heavy. Slowly walk your hands over back toward the top of your mat. Pivot on your feet. Plant your palms. And step up and back into downward facing dog. Root firmly against your palms. Tip your pelvis forward so that you can lift your sitting bones higher toward the sky. On your next inhale, sweep your right leg up toward the sky. Bend deeply into your knee and open your hip. Send your right knee toward the ceiling. Draw your right heel toward your left sitting bone. With the option to stay exactly as you are, or release the ball of your right foot behind your left knee. Pivot on your left foot. Ground down into your left foot and your left hand to press the floor away and reach your hips up toward the sky as you spiral open through your chest and reach your right arm over your head into Wild Thing. Inhale deeply. Feel prana flow through you. Exhale softly, relax and let go. Release your right hand to the floor if it's lifted and release your right foot to the floor. Return back into downward facing dog. On your next breath, reach your left leg to the sky. Bend deeply into your knee and open your hip. Turn your left knee to face toward the ceiling. Draw your left heel toward your right sitting bone. Option to stay here, or option to release the ball of your left foot behind your right knee. Pivot on your right foot, ground down into your right foot and your right hand to lift your hips and your left hand off the floor. Peel open your chest, draw your shoulder blades toward each other and reach your left fingertips toward the floor. Inhale deeply, feel prana flow through you. Exhale to release. Release your left hand down if it's lifted. Release your left foot to the floor. Return back into downward facing dog. And then softly bend into your knees. Relax your knees to the floor. Untuck your toes and release your seat onto your heels. Surrender the weight of your torso forward and down into child's pose. Take a moment to observe your breath. Recognize how it flows through you in this moment. Can you connect to its perfect balance of drawing in and then letting go? On your next inhale, rise up high onto your fingertips. Lift the weight of your head just slightly off the floor. And walk your hands over toward the left side of your mat or even off of it. And then soften and relax your weight back down. Lengthen from your right fingertips all the way down your right side body to your right sitting bone. Inhale to gently lift your head away from the floor. Rise back up onto your fingertips and tiptoe to walk them back toward the center of your mat. And then all the way over to the opposite side. Soften and relax back down as you lengthen through your left side body. Inhale to gently lift back up. Slowly walk your hands back forward in front of you and soften your weight back down toward the floor. Tap back into your breath and the goddess energy within. And feel free to stay relaxing here for as long as you would like to. Thank you for sharing your practice.
I'll see you next time.